You asked, we're answering.
I'm Devin,
I'm Kevin.
and there's a lot of misinformation out there.
So Devin, one of the biggest myths that we encounter out there is that all air cleaners are the same. And so many people just choose the air cleaner based on the looks because they believe that all stage one air cleaners are the same. But in fact, they're not.
Yeah, they definitely are not. I mean, there are some huge differences in many different air cleaners, and we're going to be, obviously getting into a lot of those today. Where would you like to start?
Well, there's the two biggest differences between the DK Custom air cleaners and most of the others out there, whether it be a stock air cleaner or an aftermarket air cleaner, is that they don't have external breather systems. And when there's no external breather system, what happens?
Well, all that hot, oily air goes into your combustion chamber.
And it builds up carbon. We'll put up some pictures right here showing how much carbon can build up on top of the piston, and then throttle bodies get gummed up, and then with that hot, oily, oxygen depleted air going in, you don't have as much power because the air is not have as much oxygen in it, and it's the oxygen in the air that helps the combustion build more power. And so the vast majority, I only know two other companies that are making air cleaners that are specifically designed to have an external breather system. That on the 606, which uses the exact same filter element as the old Screaming Eagle air cleaner and the Arlen Ness Big Sucker, we noticed when we were doing some dyno testing that the 606 outperformed by a significant amount the Arlen Ness and the Screaming Eagle, even though it was the exact same filter element. So I asked you, and you did it, to build an aluminum one of our 606 that was our shape, but it was aluminum because our regular one that outperformed the Arlen Ness is steel. The Arlen Ness is aluminum, the Screaming Eagle is aluminum, so we thought, well, maybe it's not the shape, maybe it's the metal having a different frequency.
Harmonics, what was causing the difference?
Yeah, and so we did that. So we had the steel version of the 606, which is our everyday, what we've been making for years and years. And then we had the aluminum, thinking that the aluminum might be the difference. But what we discovered, in fact, that our aluminum 606 and our steel 606 performed exactly the same, which was like 5 to 7% better than the Arlen Ness and Screaming Eagle. And when I say the same filter element, I'm talking the same exact filter element, not the same design, the same, we took it off of one, put on the other, and we'll put a link up above of that video where we did that testing. So what was our conclusion from that?
Well, it obviously wasn't the material and the harmonics because we had the same results. The only thing that we couldn't eliminate from that was having an EBS on one and not having it on the other, because at the time we didn't have that ability to. So we were contributing a good bit of it to that. That's, we don't know what it is, but that is one contributing factor. The other factor is just how the air is flowing once it's inside of that filter. I mean, is it turbulent air? Is it not?
Are there obstructions slowing it down? Yeah, and the thing is, we did on the Arlen Ness and the Screaming Eagle, we did, to eliminate that, we did put external breather systems on them also. So then what it came down to was it's how the air is flowing after it passes through the filter element. Before it passes through, it's the exact same filter element.
Yeah.
So the only variable could be either DK, black magic, or it was that what's happening to the air after it goes through the filter element. So there are big differences that can happen even to air cleaners that are using the same filter element maybe look like they're the same, but inside, like on the Arlen S and the Screaming Eagle, it's not smooth. The steel is smooth. The aluminum one you made is smooth. The cast aluminum of the other two that we tested, the Screaming Eagle and the Arlen S, they're sort of a bumpy, rough aluminum, and they have little different ridges and different abnormal,
like casting marks, basically. There's some abnormalities to it, and there's some texture to it. And even to expand on that further, one of the things that baffled me at the time was that ours was kind of abrupt how it goes into the throttle body. It was a sharp edge. That inherently to me seems like a negative. You know, I even at one time made that thing that went on it that smoothed everything out. And I think we actually got less performance out of that. And maybe that's because the air had to come over and around, and you're making that air change its directions multiple times to come over and around.
Yeah.
But,
and of course, there's a lot of things like if you've watched any number of our videos, you know, we street develop, street test, and then dyno prove stuff. There's some stuff that we know works that we don't necessarily understand why it works, because, you know, that semi-velocity thing where there's that curved opening, you would think every common sense thing to a non-engineer makes you think that that would make it flow better and produce more power. But the fact of the matter is it doesn't. And when we posted that video that we linked above earlier, a couple engineers came on and started talking about laminar airflow and different things, and explaining why our abrupt transition performed better than the one that was sort of rounded. And they explained it, and I almost understood it at the time. I don't remember now. Bottom line is, they work better. Ours work better using that. And so you're not building up carbon deposits. You're not gumming up your intake. You're going to get more. You're going to automatically get an external breather system, and you're going to get more power out of it for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that you're not feeding that oxygen depleted air into there. So we get a lot of questions from people about which air cleaner they should run, and we will put a video overviewing all of our air cleaners up in the corner here. But specifically what we want to address today is people who ask, should they run a Velocity Stack versus one of our other more traditional air cleaners?
And to answer that, the answer to that question is a multifaceted thing. It's like, what are you looking for? What's your goals? You know, what are you trying to accomplish? And most of the time when somebody thinks about a Velocity Stack, they're thinking about max power, you know, like race cars, Velocity Stacks. That's what they're thinking about. Well, we here at DK, you know, we care about our engines, obviously. So a true maximum performing Velocity Stack doesn't have any filtration. I mean, it's just you're trying to push as much air in there, and if it gets a little dirt, it is what it is, you know, and that's the drag racing mentality of it. So our Velocity Stack, with our filtration, you know, system that we've developed and put inside of it is, you know, it is a filtration system, and it's going to keep, you know, most of the stuff out, but some dust can get by it. But it's meant for that maximum power thing, you know, drive it to the racetrack and then pull the filter out of it and then go down the racetrack. That's more of what, you know, I was interested in, me personally, about the Velocity Stack when we were developing it. You know, being able to have that max power, but have that, you know, ease of mind that I'm not hurting my engine on the way to the drag strip. Now, if something happens to the drag strip, that is what it is, and it's something that you take. But as for an everyday rider, I am a max power oriented person. And for me, not having to worry about, you know, any potential tune differences or something like that with and without the filter, it's just easier for me to run a 636 air cleaner, because it'll get you that almost to that maximum power amount. I mean, within margin of error, and you've got great filtration. where on the other one, you can, with the filter in the Velocity Stack, you're still going to get way better performance than, say, a stock air cleaner. But, to get that maximum out of it, you've got to pull that filter out.
Chart right here. Let's put up a chart showing the difference between the stock air cleaner, and this is on a twin cam, and it shows the stock air cleaner and then a Velocity Stack. And this was a Velocity Stack with the air filter in it. And it's still a 9% torque and 9% horsepower increase over the stock air cleaner. And like you said, it's not as much as, say, the 606, 828, or 636, but it's still very respectable.
Very. And then, of course, we only dynoed it with that because we care about our engines. We care about your engines. We designed that filter in it, and we didn't necessarily want to put out those numbers with that. And, somebody who doesn't necessarily need that maximum power actually.
I can't think of anybody who would do their everyday riding with the Velocity Stack with no filter element. I mean, there can be, and if people choose to do it, it's their bike, right? But I mean, you're sucking all kinds of, you don't know what's going to get in there and give you premature wear on your cylinders. So you explained it great. It is a good air cleaner, especially if you're maximum performance oriented. And if you like the looks, some people don't care about the performance, but they love the looks of Velocity Stack. Is it going to filter as good as the other filters? Not quite as good. I would say if you live in a really dusty or sandy environment where you have a lot of dust storms,
I wouldn't want to do it in that situation.
Yeah, but it's definitely a good alternative, and it outperforms the stock by a long ways. We hope you found that information interesting and useful. We're going to have more of these short FAQs that Devin and I are going to be doing. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so that when we come out with the next one, you'll know about it.
And y'all ride safe out there.